It really is kind of a renaissance that this whole scene is kind of going through right now. Back in like the early 2010s, I mean, nu metal was kind of considered like this, like almost like a slur. I mean, I think that's kind of why a lot of people are really kind of gravitating towards it now, because it's almost like the slur we got to own, and now we get to sort of pass on this kind of legacy. I mean, when you guys are playing shows, is that what you're seeing? Are you guys seeing like families out there?
It's a total mixture. And I mean, I forget who it was. I think it was maybe Tom Araya from Slayer or something had said that years and years ago in interviews. He's like, Slayer has finally, gotten to the point to where it's multi-generational, where our original fans' kids are coming out, their kids are coming out. And, it's kind of like, a lot of times, kids, they look at what their parents listen to and they start emulating that. And of course they find stuff that they like too. But, my parents had like Alice Cooper and AC/DC albums laying around and kind of got me into that. And I still love those bands to this day. So our fans had, Soil and Union Underground and Disturbed and Papa Roach CDs laying around, and their kids, have been getting into those bands. And the ones that, lasted and are still around, have been able to capitalize on that and enjoy the fruits of longevity, I guess you could say, so to speak. And it's kind of funny because, we never really jumped, like we were classified as like a nu metal band, but we were never quite a nu metal band, which I don't mind the tag. I mean, we definitely have elements of that sound in there, and we were in that whole genre and stuff. But it's kind of crazy how, different sort of genres kind of come in and come out. It's like hair metal was like a very dirty word for a long time, but now, it's like people love it, with the Motley Crue Dirt record coming out, and, Steel Panther making kind of a mockumentary Spinal Tap out of it.
Right.
All these bands doing that and stuff. And, metalcore was huge for a while. That's what kind of took over where nu metal left off. And that kind of just went down into a slump, and nobody really talks about it much anymore. And, you have nu metal coming back, and, probably after that wears out, metalcore will be back. And
there'll be a resurgence of that.
Yeah. It kind of comes back in these full swings and stuff. So it's pretty exciting. I mean, our Soil guitarist, Adam, had told me after we left Dave William from Drowning Pool's funeral, he goes, I hate to say it, man, but I think nu metal might have died with Dave Williams. And he was kind of onto that, because it kind of started to take a downturn after that, and then just kind of went away, and metalcore and white belts and all that stuff kind of took over. But, it's cool to see it all back now. We're pretty excited. We rode out the wave. We haven't stopped. So
Right. I think that's kind of it. I think the bands who have sort of weathered the storm are now kind of like on top of it, and playing these actually pretty decent sized places, whereas people 5-10 years ago were like, that band, like whatever's going to happen to them. So it's actually a really cool thing to see, like you guys and Union Underground and Raw and Flaw. I mean, like, these bands that were so in the thick of it in the early 2000s, like really making it through, kind of coming out clean on the other side.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like I said, one of our, biggest assets is we never stopped. We never went on hiatus. We never broke up.
Right.
We've been going strong for 27 years this month, actually.
Oh, wow.
And one great thing that we've been able to count on is the UK and the European fan base. Those two fan bases, they never let go of Soil. We never had like a dip of where, it wasn't cool to be in a type of band like ours. They always kind of embraced it. So we were always able to go over there and continue our careers and stay, relevant and draw large audiences. And the United States has been up and down, and
right.
There's definitely pockets where we've always done well, and there's been ones that we used to do well in and didn't do for a while and have come back up. I mean, it's just kind of it's weird because each state is like almost like its own country, so to speak.
Right.
Like you go to Wisconsin and it's like you're still sitting in 2000,
Right.
But you go to New York and you never know what to expect, stuff like that. It's kind of crazy.
Kind of going back to Dave Williams, I remember playing shows with Drowning Pool prior to them being signed, and Dave brought my band a goldfish in a bag. and we were on like in another town. I'm like, what are we gonna do with this goldfish from like Walmart in a bag? And Dave's like, no, here you go. It's your pet fish now. And I don't know telling what happened to that fish. But man, Dave was always a great dude. I ran into him a couple of months before he passed away. Had some drinks with him, and always just the nicest dude on the planet, man. What a great guy.
One of my dear friends in the business. In fact, when the Drowning Pool sampler came out for Sinner, it was only 2 songs. It was Tearaway and Bodies. Drowning Pool was doing kind of like a promo tour, and they had played Chicago, and Dave gave me that CD sampler, and I listened to it. I loved the band instantly and went out and bought the record the first day it came out. And, he and I, were, became real close friends. In fact, 2 days before he passed away, we were on Ozfest together, and Dave came up to our bus, and he's like, "Hey man, I've been meaning to spend some alone time to where we could just, shoot the shit and talk some music." He goes, you available now? I'm like, yeah, I got nothing going on. So he came up and he's like, I'm like, what do we drink? And he's like, well, what do you want to drink? I'm like, how about a couple shots of Crown and a few Coors Lights? And he's like, sounds great to me. So I had this little stash of these little mini Crown Royal bottles. So, I gave, 2 to him, 2 to me, a couple Coors Lights. And, we were sitting back enjoying those. And he's like, listen, man, he goes, Ozfest is going to be over pretty soon. He goes, we're going back in the studio to work on some new material. You guys will probably be back in the studio soon enough. Why don't we, grab Drowning Pool, Soil, and like a band like El Nino, and let's do the Anywhere There's Electricity tour and just do the whole world together of just, friends and have a good time. And I'm like, oh, dude, that's a perfect idea. Let's do it. And, his tour manager came knocking. He's like, come on, we all got to leave, blah, blah, blah. We gave each other a hug, told each other we loved each other. It's like, love you, bro. See you, at the next show. And unfortunately, before we could get to that show, David passed away. But, I kind of feel really honored to have spent those last few hours with him and to really like get some bro time in. And I still miss him a lot. He was such a unique and awesome individual.
Yeah, my 23rd birthday, I lived in Nashville, and we were out at a bar at a table, and we look over, and Dave is sitting by himself at the bar, and everybody's like, is that Dave Williams? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I walk up, and he's like, Toomey, what's up, man? How you been? And they were in Nashville doing rehearsals for Ozfest. For that Ozfest, and he came over and spent the rest of the night with us, and drank with us and all that stuff. And a couple months later, passed away. It was awful. Yeah,
terrible. But I got to say, he did live life on his own terms, and he went out the way he would have wanted to go out. Too soon, way too soon, but at least it was on his terms and the way that he wanted to go out. Not being some old guy sitting in a rocking chair, not being able to play music or
right.
Be himself,
right, or regretting bad decisions, kind of thing,
Exactly.